The concept of 11:11 came from a few different sources. First, I was watching Stephen J. Hawking's A Brief History of Time, and that's when I started to consider the possibility of a universe condensing back to its origins. Then I saw the movie Betrayal, which is just a wonderful film and tells a love story backwards. And that's when I decided to make 11:11. Love is a great subject. It lends itself really well to backward storytelling. And then if you consider the film medium itself, it's just a flat strip. When you hit the rewind button on a projector, suddenly everything is going backwards and gravity is defied. The thief in a backwards universe returns your wallet. And I really saw the backwards world of Anna and Odo as the perfect place for these two self-obsessed lovers. People ask me a lot about the title of 11:11. And in fact, for some people, 11:11 has, personal significance or meaning. But in 11:11, I just use the title as another palindromic device. If you look carefully, in one scene, Anna is holding a little card, and on it, it says Party Trap, another palindrome. So they're just sprinkled throughout the film. I actually wrote the screenplay for 11:11 backwards. Exits function as entrances, and answers preceded questions. Effect preceded cause. And I worked very hard to create a narrative that would work well as a mock foreign film and stand on its own as a backwards narrative. But then, of course, I had to take that backwards narrative and translate it into something we could use on the set. So I had to create a shooting script. And the shooting script is an exact reversal of the screenplay. And that reflected how the actors were really going to perform the original screenplay. So in other words, in 11:11, we have 28 scenes. Page 1 of the shooting script starts with scene 28, or with the last scene of the screenplay. Because I wrote the film backwards, as the film's editor, it was really important for me to get all the shots into my editing machine in that same order. And so I ended up shooting the movie backwards. What that meant was we used Panavision effects cameras with variable speed motors or reversing motors. And we actually ran the film through the camera backwards from the bottom up. The result was that I got all the takes into my Avid in the right order, and they matched my original screenplay. It did create some havoc down the line. For instance, we did get a frantic call from a telecine operator who said, "Oh my God, all your footage is running backwards." And I said, "That's okay, that's exactly the way it should be. Thank you. Thanks for the call." In directing the actors, I really de-emphasized the technical aspects. I wanted them to really stay focused and not worry about whether what they were doing was working backwards. I really focused on my casting to get the right people in front of the camera who would work well backwards. For instance, Mataji, she was a dancer with Lula Washington, and because her background was in movement, I could really work very carefully with her to create some really funny movements and some things that were working really well backwards because she was such a physical actor. The thing to remember is that sound is much less forgiving than picture. Getting the soundtrack to work was going to be one of the biggest challenges of the project, and in fact, probably the treatment of sound is the movie's biggest cheat. Raising money for the movie was also quite challenging, because at first I couldn't convince my investors that filming a love story in reverse made any sense at all. But I did finally reassure them when I reminded them that I had to shoot 11:11 in real time and would be creating a forwards version of the movie while shooting the original script. In that moment, I convinced them. 2 movies for the price of 1, and they went for it.